Graham Potter's got a few catchphrases. One of them, the most used one, I think, is he says, we'll have to see what that looks like. And when he got the West Ham job, he made a comment, and it was a fair comment, that nobody ever gets a football job because things have gone well. Whilst that's not quite true, I think 99% of cases that is the case. The inference was clear. He was basically saying, I'm here because Lopetegui's failed, and I'm here to fix things. And he's talked a good game. He absolutely has. But I do wonder if the stark reality of, and I mean a brutal reality, of the trouble West Ham are in terms of the squad has probably hit home. Because that Brentford game was meant to be the game. All the others, he had the mitigation. There was a lot of things going on. He'd just joined. Things have been terrible under Lopetegui. The first game was an FA Cup game, and it was followed by, 3 games in 8 days, something like that. The mini-injury crisis. And there was a lot going on. It was in a transfer window. But you sort of felt that the Brentford game, because they'd only won whatever it was, a couple of games in 11 or whatever the case may be, plus he'd never lost to a Thomas Frank team. He'd got the striker that he wanted in the January transfer window, and players were starting to come back. Bowen had come back against Chelsea and scored. He was starting to get players back, wasn't he? And he suddenly had some options that he didn't have. So all the excuses and all the mitigation wasn't necessary anymore. Potter finally had a decent squad. Was everyone back? No, but nobody is ever, whenever is everybody fit for any team? Hardly ever at all. And I do think that this was it. This was it. And 2 weeks on the training ground, whatever, even if you call it 10 days, 12 days, with the players, time to implement his ideas, implement his tactics. I'm not saying we should have seen the finished product against Brentford, but incrementally, a little glimpse through the keyhole at what Potter was going to do. I just wonder if he's now looked at West Ham, go back to that comment that nobody gets a job and if things are good. Basically, he was saying, I'm only here because the previous bloke failed. And I do wonder if he sat in that very, very comfortable dugout seat, has to be said, thinking, this is why I'm here. This is why the other guy failed, or whatever the case may be. Damn, there's a lot to do here. And there is an awful lot to do, because West Ham are one of the worst teams in the Premier League. And Potter has no blame in that. But this is the reality of it. I wonder if he thought, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to do my stuff, flick a switch. Maybe he didn't. He probably didn't. But I do wonder if he thought it was as bad as it actually is. Must be weird viewing West Ham from the outside. You should probably look at the players and they've got, decent players. But this is something I really wanted to talk about. And it was the pace or lack thereof within the team. And I alluded to it in last night's review, which was it doesn't seem to matter who's in charge, whether we've got a director of football or a head of recruitment. We buy slow-ass players. We really do. And what I found quite weird was before Potter came in, we would do regular transfer updates. We'd update on Patreon. We'd do blogs. We'd do, a lot of stuff. And very much we were told by the club, never mind January, end of November going into December, striker, big priority, midfielder with pace, energetic midfielder with pace. Both made absolute sense, of course. Don't need me to tell you why the striker made sense. But the midfield, so slow. And in many respects, one of the worst things that happens with West Ham is players who are probably not suited to the style of what we want to do play well. And Thomas Soucek is a great example. So Soucek will put in a wonderful performance. He'll score a header. He'll do something brilliant, right? Soucek's brilliant. Can't drop Soucek. Soucek's a club legend. He will be. He is and will be a club legend, right? And the same happens with a lot of players. But once they all factor in, and certainly since Potter came in, Alvarez has started playing really, really well as well. But you can't continue to have all of them because you end up with the net result, which is there's no one fast in the midfield. And it is not just midfield. I often make this, it's a terrible way to do it, right? But Sometimes when you're measuring pace, you need a barometer. And what we can't do is ask all these players to actually, we can't rip up the carpet at the London Stadium, unveil the running track and ask them to all start on the 100-metre start-finish line, well, not the start line, on your mark, set, go, and ask them to race and find out who's fastest. What we then can't do is start comparing those to other players. We've got to use metrics, we've got to use barometers. But I've often said this. I think the last genuinely quick player, and I mean really good pace. If you play FIFA, if you played FIFA, 90 for pace, that's the thing. The last 90 for pace that we had was probably Fredericks. Now, it doesn't mean everyone's slow. Jared Bowen has got a decent enough turn of pace. But Jared Bowen won't be a 90 for pace. Jared Bowen won't be in the top 30, 40, 50 fastest players in the Premier League. He just won't be. And neither will Kudus. Kudus probably a little bit quicker, but he's not electric. He's probably an 83 if you play FIFA. He's probably an 83 or 84. What he's got is a strength. If he's got his body behind someone, in between someone, and he can use it because he is quite pacey. He's just not got blistering rocket-like pace, has he? Those players make a real difference in your team. And I think, looking through the team, we probably have 3 players in the team that have decent pace. And I think that would be Bowen, Kudus and Wan-Bissaka. Nobody else is really that electric. There's no point making the case for Guilherme because he just doesn't play. But even that is not enough. And I just wonder why we just don't prioritise this stuff. Because what it means is you've got to find another way. Brentford didn't need to be brilliant against West Ham. They just need to be smart, have a counter-attacking strategy, and hit us where it hurt. And they could do so. And I used to think it when David Moyes was here, because David Moyes used to play counter-attack, and I used to think, okay, brilliant. Why didn't he have a couple of extra really quick players in there? And I always wondered why he didn't. And look, to an extent, he was successful with what he did. But I always thought he was a couple of quick players away from his teams being really effective, really, really effective. And I just don't know why it never happened, and I don't know why. It doesn't matter almost who's in charge of the club, who's in charge of transfers. Could be David Sullivan, could be Tim Stuyton, could be David Moyes, could be Lopetegui, Rob Newman. It almost doesn't seem to matter. Nobody says, "Oh right, let's go and get someone quick in." But the club did. I think that's the annoying thing. It was so close. The club highlighted it. And you looked, I hadn't heard of Banzuzi. That might even not be how you pronounce his name. That shows how much I know about him. But when I saw him play and started looking at the scouting reports, I thought, actually, that's the type of player West Ham need. But it's not just about midfield. I mean, to have someone else rapid on the left-hand side of the pitch would have been good. That was a problem. You looked at West Ham, and the commentator, when I watched the game, was very much saying that West Ham were quite right side heavy. I guess we were. Some with some pace on the left hand side. We just don't do it. We really don't. And the odd thing is, I remember going down and going to the Amex Stadium, watching Brighton. I think it was under Potter, pretty sure it was. And they had Lamptey at right wing back, who was like a flying machine. Had Matoma, who was absolutely destroying Ben Johnson, really, really quick. I think they had, I can't remember. It might have been someone really dynamic in the middle. I think it was Caicedo. It might have been Caicedo and McAllister. I'm not saying McAllister's rapidly quick, but they had a really, really good midfield. And I wonder if Potter looked at that against Brentford and thought, this is what I'm missing. This is what I've got to do. He's got a massive task at hand, and when I look at the team going forward, and the trouble is you do, particularly with players like Soucek, is I just notice it a lot on the internet. I notice it a lot doing this sort of thing, and you notice it a lot in the comments. If you say something bad or not. It's not even something bad. You don't say anything bad. You just Soucek's been a really good player for West Ham. I think he'll continue to be a good player for West Ham. But if you say anything less than gushing, I mentioned this yesterday's video, it's hatred. Oh, you're hating on him. And if somehow you mention that maybe he shouldn't be in the team going forward, if you want to build a faster team, you're disrespecting a club legend. Makes it really, really hard. And in many respects, the way we discuss football online is not how you would discuss football in a pub. You wouldn't sit down traditionally with your mates in the boozer after and say, do you know what, I think we need to replace Soucek in the team. You just have a conversation. It wouldn't be someone saying, oh, that's hatred. Thumbs down. You're criticising, you're hating on a club legend, and it stifles it somewhat. But I just don't think we can have all these players in the team. I don't think he was the worst, by the way. I think Soler was absolute dog shit, honestly. He was terrible. I look at the team, and I will be as honest as I can here. I'm talking about the starting players, really. I think if Potter's going to build a team going forward, Wan-Bissaka, brilliant. Bowen, Kilman. I've not seen enough of Todibo yet. I would suspect Todibo might be in it, but I've not seen enough. But then I start scratching. Around. I said in this video I was going to talk about Kudus. I won't. I'm going to leave it. I know I've talked about his pace. I'll leave that for another day because I'm already taking up far too much of your Sunday. I'm struggling. If I look and wonder what Potter's final vision for West Ham might be, in terms of the senior players, I struggle to see much beyond it. Maybe Paqueta, but we don't know. There's an uncertainty. I certainly, he was terrible as a awful in the first half, just absolutely awful. But I think if you get those players and you get quick players around them, then they may provide the kernel of a team, if you like. But it still requires a lot of stuff that's got to be built up around them. Maybe I'm being, again, it would be called harsh. It's not harsh. It's just talking about the team and what the team might look like. It's a sporting conversation. It's a football conversation. That's all it is. I can't see too many. I don't think Mavropanos would be part of things going forward. I don't think Emerson would be part of things going forward. I certainly don't think you can continue to have a midfield. I know it wasn't how he started with this midfield. I don't think you can have a midfield of Alvarez, Soucek and Paqueta. It's too damn slow. So they can't all be in there. I think probably Somerville comes in on left wing. He would help. He's certainly quick. We're missing that. But it's a problem when you only have one quick player. When you miss them, then the whole thing falls down. I don't know. Look, I've seen, like you guys, I've seen 45 minutes or 5 minutes injury. I've seen 50 minutes of Evan Ferguson. Looks okay. I need to see more. I need to see more of him. But when I look at the team, and we might not even buy him anyway. Who knows? When I look at the team, I think, whoa, we are. Potter definitely improved the team in the second half. Although I do think there was an element of them sitting back a bit. But we still looked blunt. We didn't look like we could hurt them. I'm not sure pace would have particularly helped us at that point there. If anything, we needed pace to help us in midfield and with defending in that particular game. But there will be times when we need pace to get behind defence. I'm not sure, really, we got it. He talks a good game. And I think... Well, I'm hopeful. This guy needs time. We can't keep swapping our managers. We really can't. This guy needs time. And he needs support. But I look at the league now and look at where we are. And that's about right. I don't think we're one of the 3 worst teams in the league. But everyone else, I look at, name me a team. I think Crystal Palace are better than us. I think Brentford are better. Well, clearly they just beat us. You start going through the teams and they're better than us. And then you look at the 4 below us at the moment, you think, okay, we might be better than them. Well, we are better than them. But you don't see too many above us and think, oh, we're better than them. We're pretty much where we deserve to be. They say the Premier League doesn't lie. Sometimes it does, but I don't think it does at the moment. And it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I do wonder if we're going to see that again. That combination, because that was his choice. He had choice in this game. And I liked his ruthlessness at half-time. I do wonder if he's looking at that thinking, I cannot do that combination. And I think individually, they'll all have their games. I think, well, I'm not certain on Soler. Soler is a little bit too flaky for my liking. It's a little bit too inconsistent. I need to see Soler play let's make it five good games back to back. All the others I've seen Paqueta play 5 good games back to back. I've seen Alvarez play 5 good games back to back. I've certainly seen Soucek play 5 good games back to back. I need to see a bit more of Soler. So if I leave him out of it for a moment, there will be times, as long as he doesn't get his collar felt, there will be times when Paqueta will be a match winner for us. There'll be times when Soucek will be a match winner for us. And there'll be times when Alvarez will play really well. I'm just not entirely convinced they can all play in the same team as you know, and I'm not, and I do wonder if now Potter's going to look at it and he might come to the same conclusion. But yeah, hopefully that is. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if you disagree. But whether you agree or disagree, you're welcome to disagree. Of course, I'm not hating on Soucek. I'm not. You know, he is an absolute club legend. And by the way, I wouldn't sell him. I would not sell him. And, you know, because I think he's got a big role to play at the club. And I think he never, even when he's not in the team, whenever he's on the periphery, he never complains. He's got the right attitude. And you need those players in there. You're going to need his attributes. But we've got to get some more mobility. Anyway, sorry, I said earlier I've taken up too much of your Sunday. Now I really have. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.